TIL salivating before vomiting is a way for your body to protect your teeth from the incoming stomach acid. No way back for me when the saliva starts. The mouth sweets precede the chunder. It takes persistence, but most times I can beat it. I will fight off that shit for hours just to avoid 10 seconds of misery because I am a dumb baby. I grab a Halls ASAP. Works most of the time. I just start spitting out all the saliva. It is way easier to avoid throwing up that way instead of letting it pool in my mouth or swallowing it. I always know it feels better when you finally get it out, so yeah, I just let it happen. I used to think it was inevitable. Now, as soon as the saliva starts, I take a dose of Pepto. It either makes me feel completely better or it hits the bottom of my stomach and comes right back up with the rest that was coming up anyway. Either way, I'm free of vomit limbo. Most of the time when I vomit, it's from a bad case of acid reflux. I either immediately get up and vomit, or am lucky enough to chew a few tums before it comes up. This actually just happened to me about 30 minutes ago lying in bed. Smoke weed and then the saliva never starts. 420 pic. Sniff an alcohol swab. I call it a case of the mouth sweets. Love mouth sweets as a phrase, not as a phenomenon. Hot spits. I call it puke sweets. Oh, thank God. I thought me hungry had a kink for puking. Cursed comment. Nice. Also contagious vomiting. Throwing up when you see or hear other people throwing up is thought to have developed in primates as they tend to forage for food in groups, and if one member vomits it might be helpful for others to vomit also. Have a fun and safe weekend, fellas. Where can we subscribe to hear more vomit facts? Yawning and many other things too when chilling on the plains of Africa. That makes sense. I can usually hold it down, but when I feel the salivation start, oh no, it's red alert. I can vomit on command due to a malfunctioning esophageal sphincter. Sounds cool, but it also means if I eat or drink too much, I also vomit not on command. You'd never know it was happening though. I eat me big meals more than once. What's the evolutionary reason for it giving me an erection? It's funny to think back on, but back when I was a kid I shared a room with me sisters. At some point in the night we felt sick and managed to hobble to the bathroom, puke, and go back to bed. Unfortunately my other sister just puked in bed, followed by the youngest, then the cat. I mean, it's probably not an amusing raid, but it's still one of the funniest, terrible things I remember from my childhood. Why would it be helpful to vomit? Stomach. Yo, what you sent down here ain't sitting right. Better salivate to protect your teeth because I'm sending it back with me acid mouth. Done. Stomach sends it up through the nose. Fuck, fuck, fuck. The classic misdirection. Once he vomited and I got a chunk of mushroom trapped in my nasal canal for like half an hour. It burned so bad. I get the pleasure of experiencing it through both me nose and mouth at the same time. The burns and the smell afterwards are horrible and so much pain. Dude, same. This is why I hate vomiting. Sure, the nausea and the salivating beforehand is bad, and so is the deed. But I do it all violent. I got a taste of that shit draining out of my nose for a couple hours afterwards. Oh, I always feel proud when I beat the spits. It gives me a good 30 seconds to get to a justifiable receptacle. Man, I let it happen because the build-up to throwing up is the fucking worst. I'd much rather get it over with and enjoy the brief respite of feeling good. I've found that not spitting is the best way to beat the spits. Not even being funny. It's always seemed to ease the imminent feeling of throwing up. I wonder why that happens. In the article it talks about how your brain sends a signal to your body to do the various things that cause you to throw up. Why are we sometimes able to be other things but not the salivation part? High five your homie and then back to the beer. I once had an experience where I was extremely hungover while on a field trip with one of me classes and was very motivated to not vomit. At a certain point, my body decided it was going to puke, and I decided that I was definitely not going to do that. My conscious control actually won, and I managed to suppress the act of vomiting, but the salivating was not under me control. I was shocked how much saliva my mouth could produce. It would totally fill up within about 10 seconds and we would have to spit. It kept doing this multiple times. At one point I tilted my head down and opened my mouth slightly, and it was seriously running out of my mouth continuously like a slow-running faucet. I had no idea that hypersalivating before puking was a thing before this. My mutant power is to hypersalivate on command. Not all superpowers are awesome. All Field trip with one of me classes hung over you are either an alcoholic elementary school child or an alcoholic elementary school teacher, and I don't know what's worse. But is there a reason why me spit has some sort of metallic taste to it when I know I'm going to puke? I identify it as a very strong salt taste, but yeah, I'd love to know why that happens. We need a real answer and not these anecdotes. It also happens if you hurt something in your mouth badly enough. Hitting a tooth or having severe cavities which you agitate will also cause this saliva response. I've asked about this in the past and have been told that's just what it tastes like, except you're not used to it being produced that quickly. But I doubt it. You can stimulate the glands underneath your tongue anytime, and this does happen. I've also once swallowed heaps of it while trying to convince me body not to vomit and succeeded. So I doubt the actual swallowing of it has any impact of your impending outcome either. A real scientifically based answer with a source would be good. The body produces a chemical in your saliva, and when you swallow it, it encourages vomiting. Metals, alkaloids, are a base that fights the acidity. I don't know if that's 100 the right answer, but I feel like it's on the right track. Just remember this when you are face down staring into the abyss of the toilet praying to the gods for forgiveness. Your ancestors used this sophisticated defense mechanism because they ate bugs, feces, and random shit off the ground for millions of years. You are using it because you had one too many margaritas and a hot dog cooked, and used the word cooked lightly by a teenager from the gas station. Literally, mon bro. Wish me luck. I'm sorry, ancestors. My ancestors used it to expel dangerous toxins. I use it because I forgot to take my antidepressant 2 days in a row. Or maybe you quickly drank a smoothie with 5 of shrooms in it 15 minutes prior. Textures in your vision started to wave around. Turns out the finely ground mushroom smoothie made your stomach absorb it faster than usual. You rush to the bathroom, face down staring into the abyss of the toilet praying to the gods for forgiveness. The vomit in the toilet swirls with fractalized textures. You finish clean your face with cold water and walk slowly to your bed. After laying still for 5 minutes, sparkling geometric patterns lightly cover your walls. Forgiveness has come. The gods have smiled upon you. You feel magnificent. You text your friend to say you're okay. Then you walk to your patio and spend the next 6 hours watching the swirling clouds, coloring and talking about life with a very close friend. Microwave chicken sandwich or a hella big tinnis red hot burrito that the center is still frozen. Nice. I've got me back. This happened to me tonight. Suspect Caesar salad at lunch, stomach troubles. Got up and out of bed and the mouthwater work started. Projectiles into a toilet bowl, thankfully, because the body heads up. Thanks evolution. I'm glad it happens because I get really terrible nausea and often feel the same as if I am going to vomit, but don't feel me salivary glands respond, so I know not to worry. My technique is taking a deep breath through me nose while looking up and slowly raising me outstretched arms or hands in the air as though I'm praying to Jesus. Exhale as you bring your arms down. Repeat. It pulls the chest up, which pulls the stomach up and, in turn, allows space for the diaphragm to contract underneath the stomach, against it, causing vomit. Slowly bring your outstretched arms down to your side. The diaphragm will relax long enough for you to repeat the entire process. Edit. I figured this out myself and would love feedback about if it works for other people. I always spit the saliva out trying to hold down the awfulness. Maybe I'll try to swish it around a bit now. For spitting it out usually is able to prevent vomiting caused by motion sickness. I salivate a ton to the point that I have to swallow it or spit it out. The former causes almost instant vomiting. I've tried both. Spitting it out is definitely better if your overall goal is to vomit less frequently. Oh yes, when the spit just floats me mouth, that's when I know it's gonna be the technicolor yawn and not just some short-lived queasiness. Praying to the porcelain gods. The technicolor yawn. I wondered why I always salivated. Is this like sweating when you have diarrhea? So your whole body needs protection from your diarrhea. The whole body cold sweats and moment of severe panic you feel right before you empty your bowels in a torrent of liquid shit is unrivaled biologically. It's been 30 years since I've thrown up. I remember the last time vividly because it was food poisoning, and I remember saying, "Please God, I never want to throw up again. I'll take the worst poops ever, just not throw up." This is really the only reason I'm still thinking there might be a God. There is a dude up there saying, "There's a lot going wrong in that world down there, but I gave this little fella me word and lying would be hypocritical. If I die and meet him, gonna give him a bro hug and say, 'Thanks, big guy. Sorry about all those cuss words and weird porn I watched. You aren't dead yet.' In all seriousness, I'm surprised you have been able to go 30 years without throwing up. Must put you in a pretty high percentile. Vomit-free since '93. Me, my dad, and my buddy went on the tilt. I whirl when I was like 17. Lots of laughs, then suddenly silence. We got off of that ride and we were all swallowing our spit. Tilt. I hurl. I fucking hate this feeling, but when it happens, that's your cue to get ready because you're about to blow chunks. So many times this gave me a minute to find a good place. Good times. I use. We call that sweet cheeks or hot spits in my family. And drinking lots of alcohol before vomiting will lead to, well, vomiting. Yeah, but to be fair, drunk vomiting is way less unpleasant than sober sick vomiting. Spit, spit. Womb. The band saliva probably. I call this hot mouth. Spissy spit. Is there anyone that can explain how this was selected for in evolution? Did natural selection kill off enough people from rotting teeth due to vomit? Another possibility is that it isn't. And it's someone making a claim without any sources in the Daily Tribune of Columbia, Missouri. Rotting teeth killed off a lot of people or animal ancestors, and vomiting contributes. Over 10 million generations, something as cheap and easy as salivating could well pay for itself. Edit. Also, good teeth lead to sexual selection, which is typically much faster. I was so sick a couple months ago that I vomited without saliva. That sucked so much. I call that the mouth sweets. I didn't know the body could be so considerate. How is it that me and me wife were just discussing this not 2 hours ago? We came to the same conclusion, and now we get proof. The world is wild sometimes. As a man with ibs who has vomited far more than me fair share, it noticed the sudden onset of saliva is definitely one of the most consistent ways to anticipate a puke. I've always called it gleeking. Gleeking is when you shoot saliva out of the glands under your tongue, you like a snake spitting. I used to get this feeling randomly as a kid, and I never knew what it was. It would freak me out, so I convinced myself I just need to swallow and keep swallowing to make it go away. It never resulted in me vomiting, which is why I never connected the two until later in my life. I always thought it was lubrication for the onslaught of chunks. These comments have taught me that I apparently don't vomit nearly as often as the common Redditor. What are you guys doing to have so much experience throwing up? Looking in the mirror. But why do I hyperventilate? It's very taxing on the heart when you vomit, and on your lungs as well. It's a total monkey wrench in the status quo. Why would I think of this life pro tip when I'm in a situation where I'm going to vomit? Vomit pry. Come. I hate that I'm going to think of this every time it happens now. This kind of stuff evolved because some critters died of acid vomit, damaging their teeth sooner than the ones that salivate a bit before.